I've generated over 6 figures from YouTube and over 50 million views. And here's the brutal truth that no one wants to tell you about starting a YouTube channel. Number one, you have to post when nobody is watching. Now, this is tough, right? Because people, have this shiny object syndrome to where you see the latest thing, right? You see that this is an opportunity to generate some money, generate wealth, right? And what happens is majority of people, what they do is, boom, they have all this motivation day one, right? So you start posting. Maybe you post 3 videos, maybe 5, maybe even 10. And 10 is probably a lot for most people, right? And what happens is you tend to get no traction there. And then you get no traction and people look at it and they see those responses there and they want to quit right away, right? So you're like, okay, I have no traction, right? And you're basically going up against the wall. And really the people that get rewarded from YouTube and all those things are the ones that are willing to push through that wall, right? And if you really can't just be okay with posting and not seeing any type of traction, right, you're never going to last. And number two, excuses will kill more channels than algorithms. Now, you hear people worry so much about the camera, right, the microphone, the gear, editing, right, all these different things. And it's a list of things that when you really think about it, people are more focused on step 6 through 10 than they are step 1, right? And you want to, invest all this money when really you probably have everything you need, right? A camera, right? iPhones and just smartphones in general shoot great visuals nowadays, right? And you really have everything you need, but you almost just make up these excuses in your mind about, oh, I need this, I need that. Maybe it's I don't have time. Maybe it's too late to start, right? All of these things start to creep up in your mind. And you find every excuse in the book to disguise the real emotion that you're going through is fear. And remember, the first maybe 50, 100 videos, it's not going to be perfect. But you have to be willing to look stupid and put the content out there. Because if you don't, then you're never going to even have the opportunity to get monetized, right? Make money from it. All of those things. And a lot of times it's also fear of just being judged, right, from other people. But the thing is, most of those people don't even care what you're doing anyway, right? So you got to keep that in mind. This is really a you versus you thing. And more than likely, right, it's just this own battle in your mind than anything that's actually external. Now, of course, you're watching this because you're interested in growing, YouTube, financial freedom, all those things. And as someone who has generated over 6 figures and 50 million plus views, if you're interested in walking step by step exactly how I did it and how you can potentially do something similar, click the link in the description below. Now, number 3, external validation is a trap. Now, I see this one all the time, and I really think this is with any business that you're starting. What happens a lot of time is people waste energy telling their friends and other people about what they're doing instead of actually doing the work. So what happens is when you tell someone maybe your goal or what you're working on, you get some dopamine in your head, right? You get a burst of dopamine, and they're like, oh, wow. They might be impressed. But what happens is you take that, and that almost satisfies your ego. And then instead that energy that you kind of had where it's been satisfied, you tend not to work as hard on, the business, the channel as you once would have, right? And that's why you really shouldn't tell anyone when you're starting, right? Because think about it like this. A lot of people, even if you do tell them, they may look at you and, right, they'll say, oh yeah, that's silly. Like, why are you even doing that? So it really doesn't make too much sense because they're probably not going to be paying attention anyway, right? And of course, it's always the people who are strangers, right, that are going to really support you. It's not going to be the people that are around you or in your circle. And you've probably seen that, right? Anyone who starts businesses, right, the people around you are not going to support you, right? Your friends, family, people that you think are closest to you, they may be close to you, but remember, they have other things they're worrying about in their own lives. So don't expect that you're going to get a ton of support or any, right, from people that are around you. I dipped kind of into number 4 about external, but number 5, well, you need a why that's bigger than views, right? And it's almost like you have to look at it and say, okay, like why do I actually want to do this, right? Because not everyone is going to have, majority of people are not even going to get monetized. Let's be honest, right? That's probably one of the biggest hurdles for anyone, right? And if your only motivation is, just looking at analytics, or you just don't really have a strong why, you're going to quit, right? A why keeps you in the game when you want to give up. And I always love the quote when I think about this. The quote is, "He who has a strong enough why can bear almost any how." And it really brings me back to even when I was starting my channel, right? Where it took me, so much time for it to really blow up and get monetized. Now, it took me about 3 months. And during that time, it was brutal, right? Because you're not seeing much progress, right? You're not seeing any results, and you have to mentally, right, just lock in. And this kind of leads on to my point number 6. You have to be a little crazy, right? Because for a long time, there's not going to be any sort of validation or really strong feedback that you're going to get from starting. It literally is painful, right? Because you're like, all right, posted this one, fail. Posted this one, fail. And you have to be able and be willing to go through that so many times to actually get the type of results that you want. Because you have to remember, right? Like I said, majority of people are probably not going to go past 10 videos, definitely not past 50. And the percentage that goes past 100 is so small, right? But you really have to keep that in mind, that you have to be delusional, right? You, in a sense. You have to detach yourself from the outcome and, from the results that you're getting for today, and realize that, right, this is a long-term game. If you can stack, right, videos and content, especially if it's evergreen, right, things that last over a long period, if not infinite period of time, that's where the true progress is, right? And of course, you have to develop things like speaking skills and just being in front of a camera, all of those things. But over time, you will get better, right, if you continue to practice. But if you look at what other people are doing and you're so worried about, right, externally, even what people think, I'm telling you, you'll never make it. Now, if you're interested in learning more about personal finance, entrepreneurship, growing your own business, click this video on the screen. You won't be disappointed.